Hello everyone, our lesson is on verbs in grammar. This is part 1 and you need to watch part 2 as well and 3. So let's look at the questions. I've got 6 questions for you. Number 1, what is a verb? Question 2, how many verbs can we use after a subject? Question 3, what is the most important verb in English and why? Question 4. Are verbs doing words all the time? Question 5. After verb to do, what are the most important verbs in English and why? Number 6. What are the different types of verbs? So try to think about the answers, and then I will explain to you all the answers, very slowly, and I will give you examples. So not to worry if you don't know the answers, I will give you the answers. You can take a picture of this or watch the video again. You can write information down if you want to remember, the explanation. So, what is a verb? ABC. Wow. So a verb is one word or more than one word. Number 2, or number B. A verb is the most important part of speech. As you know, we have 9 parts of speech, and the most important part of speech is the verb. I put a video on parts of speech if you want to watch it. In fact, 2 parts, parts of speech 1 and parts of speech 2. A verb is the most important word in a sentence. So, again, sometimes we say a verb is a content word. It means it's a very important word in a sentence. So, I underlined the meaning of a verb for you. A verb is one word or more than one word. A verb is part of speech. A verb is the most important word. So you need to remember all this when you use verbs in your speaking or writing. How many verbs can we use after a subject? We can have up to 4 verbs in a sentence. Example, Diana will have been studying Spanish for 5 years. So I have, will is an auxiliary verb, have is an auxiliary verb, been is an auxiliary verb, study is the main verb, and we put ing to it. So will have been studying, this is the verb in the sentence. So 4 words in a sentence make 1 verb. Of course, this is a high level, sentence. This is we call future perfect continuous tense. But I'm just showing you we can use up to 4 verbs in one English sentence. Number 3. What is the most important verb in English and why? The most important verb in English is verb to do. Why is it the most important? A. We can use it as a main verb. I do my homework. So do here is the verb. As you can see, I put the answers in blue for you. So anything blue, it means this is the answer. I do my homework. Do is the main verb. Why is it the main verb? Because it is the only verb in the sentence. So in this sentence, I'm using do as the main verb. Number B. We use it I mean verb to do, as an auxiliary verb to make questions or to make negative. So in this sentence, I use do to make negative. I do not do my homework. So I want to make this sentence negative. This one, I do my homework. What do? I use do. So I use do to make negative. I do not do my homework. Here I use do to make a question. Do I do my homework? Do I do my homework? So I can use do as an auxiliary verb to make questions and to make negative. We use verb to do, verb to be, and verb to have as main verbs and as auxiliary verbs. Yes, that's true. But verb to do is more important than verb to have and verb to be. Why is it more important? Well, the answer is we have thousands of main verbs. And if you want to make questions or negative in any sentence which has a main verb, we use verb to do. However, we have very few cases of verb to be and verb to have as main verbs. So because we have thousands of main verbs, so if you want to make a question, what do you use? Verb to do. If you want to make negative, what do you use? Verb to do. Of course, when I say verb to do, I mean do, does, and did, all the family. So that is why verb to do is the most important verb in English. Why? I repeat. Do is the most important verb in English because number one, I can use it as a main verb and I can use it as an auxiliary verb to make questions and to make negative. Very good. Number 4. Are verbs doing words? Yes. Most main verbs are doing words. Doing words means there is action. We often cut grass. So cut is a verb. It is a doing word. Cut is a doing word because there is action in cut. But not all the time verbs are doing words. Some main verbs are stative. What does it mean, a stative verb? It means it's a verb which shows our feelings, senses, or opinions. Believe is the answer. It's in blue all the time. The answer is in blue. I believe you are honest. So believe is a stative verb. There is no action in believe. Believe is about our opinion. So believe is a stative verb. All auxiliary verbs and modal verbs are not action words. Why? Because we cannot use them on their own in a sentence. So we cannot use auxiliary verbs and modal verbs on their own. All the time you need an auxiliary verb and a main verb. That is why, there is no action in modal verbs and in auxiliary verbs. Again, I will explain auxiliary verbs and modal verbs on the internet, but this is basic information for you. After verb to do, what are the most important words in English and why? So the most important verbs after verb to do are what? Verb to have and verb to be. So the most important verb is verb to do. After verb to do, we have verb to be and then verb to have. Number 6. What are the different types of verbs? Now when you read grammar books or you watch the internet, they tell you about different types of verbs and you feel confused. Sometimes they use different names for the same thing. Sometimes they put different groups, different categories, and you think we've got so many types of verbs, so many groups, so many... No. We have only 2 types of verbs in English. Main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Of course, main verbs, sometimes we call them ordinary verbs. Ordinary verbs or main verbs. Of course, they have other names. So don't feel like confused and you feel it's too much for you. No. we have main verbs and we have auxiliary verbs. But under main verbs we have other types of verbs, and under auxiliary verbs we have other types of verbs. And also main verbs have different names and auxiliary verbs have different names. But for now, all you have to know, we have two types of verbs: main verbs and auxiliary verbs. This is the list of auxiliary verbs, as you can see. So we have verb to do and the children. This is the family. Do in the present, did in the past, done is past participle, which is group 3. Verb to be and the family. Am is are, this is the present. Was were, this is the what, the past. Been is the past, is the past participle, and being is the continuous. Verb to have, has 3 children, have, has, had. I say 3 children, just as a joke. Will and would, again would is past of will and would, this is future. Shall and should, again future. Should is past of shall. Can and could, again could is past of can. May and might is past of may. Must, dare not, need not, ought to. Number 9, 10 and 11, this is very, very high level, like level 2 or level 3. Advanced, very advanced level. But this is the list for you about auxiliary verbs. I will put videos on auxiliary verbs and you can watch them if you want. But some of them are easy for you and some of them are difficult. So if you watch part 1, if you are basic or elementary, and then you can go to part 2 and part 3. So if you have part 2 is more difficult than part 3. Part 3 is more difficult than part 2. And that's the end of the video. Now what you can do, you can type this sentence into Google. So if you go to google.com, you type exercises on verbs, Google will give you thousands of websites, and then you can do practice on the internet. Thank you for watching the video, and please click on subscribe if you want to watch more free videos on my channel. Thank you very much.